Mike, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah, what's the matter?
Yeah, I found the checkbook of that you've been keeping to kind of track all of our finances, and I'm seeing a surprising lack of funds in order to locate the guy who makes the donuts. I mean, can you just explain all of this inconsistency?
Well, I mean,
take a look at this.
Okay, yeah, first of all, I see the checkbook here, but Alex, come on here. What are you talking about? This is, like, what do we, this is 2023. No one uses pen and paper anymore. This is, I don't know where you got this from, but it's not what we've been using. We've been using this, the Barenmo. The Barenmo. The Barenmo. Here's the Barenmo account. This is so this thing that you've been seeing that supposedly tracks the checks, bad. Mm-hmm. This Barenmo here that I'm using, that's what's got the real money in it.
Okay. Yeah. So what the checkbook's like for decoration or something, or
yeah,
throw off the IRS or what?
It's exclusively to throw off the IRS. We don't want Mike, Tyrone Dickey.
Mike, the DMV called. They said that your check for the recreationals registration bounced. So we're gonna need that $29.99.
See,
from the checkbook.
It sounds to me like they're lying because checks are made of paper, and paper is not very bouncy.
Adam, just tell them to check out the Barenmo. Don't tell them.
You know, I did because after our donation to the food bank bounced, Mike told me all about the Barenmo, and I was like, all right, I believe you. So I said that to them, and they screamed at me for a while. It was a very mob shakedown, and then they just abruptly hung up on me.
Yeah, you can't mess with the food bank, guys.
Are you sure you got the DMV's Barenmo username right?
Yeah, it's DM Barenmo, right? Like that's
yeah, because every username obviously
has to include the suffix Arenmo. That's how it.
Yeah,
that's kind of the gimmick.
Your username is @Marenmo.
Yeah.
According to you, again, I've been looking on the App Store. I've been looking on Google Play. I even went onto the dark web to one of those illicit app stores to try to find it, but I am not able to locate it.
No, it's the phone. It uses your phone's location services. It's only operable within the four corners of Limbrook. So if you're not in there, it's not possible. So I don't know. I don't know if you've been taking the Winnebago outside of the boundaries, but that might be it.
Yeah. I mean, I have, but I've also come back and have been here for the majority of the time.
All right, I don't know what you're trying to say or imply here. You're playing kind of coy with me.
I'm trying to say that when you made that.
God
when
damn,
you
this is all so
had
complicated.
I'm sorry, I'm upset. When you went down to the children's hospital and did that big ceremony where you handed them the giant check and they cut the ribbon on the Mike F wing. And then I'm the one that they had to call and say that giant check bounced, and they had to tear down. They had to return all the building supplies, the bricks, etc., for the Mike F wing. And as you can imagine, that's been bad news for several of the children.
Okay, so that sucks for them, but also as you can look at the Barenmo, if you scroll down, you can see right here.
Wait, what is the Limbrook Children's Hospital username on Barenmo?
The Limbrook Chillrenmo. I think that's what it's.
Chillrenmo.
Chillrenmo. Yeah,
that sounds right.
That adds up. I think. Yeah. But you'll see it's right there, and it says big check right there in big letters. So there.
That says big CZECH, like Czech Republic.
Yeah. No.
Who is that?
That's Dimitri. He runs. Dimitri runs the business administration side of the Limbrook Children's Hospital. So I was paying Dimitri the big check for the big check. So I thought it would be like a clever little line there.
I mean, I get it, but I will say this about Dimitri is he's very good at his job because he called me almost immediately to say that your check bounced.
There are a few people in this world I trust more than Dimitri, but it sounds like there might be a All right, listen, guys. I'll have a confession to make with you guys right now.
Confess.
So you handed me the finances for the campaign. Thank you. And I kind of went and spent every single cent on it on Pastrami's testosterone. But I didn't want to. No. I didn't want to like come clean with that. So I made a fake. I made this fake social media money transaction website, Barenmo, to try to cover my tracks a little bit here, and I feel kind of guilty.
Like a lot of work.
Yeah. Honestly, Mike,
I mean, making a fake checkbook would have been a lot of work.
Yeah.
But did you like hire somebody to do the code, or did you do it yourself? And is that why it's a terrible app that nobody can find and doesn't exist?
I did it myself because I can do most things by myself with the power of testosterone. It's all flowing through me. By the way, guys, I've been trying out this elk meat recently. I don't know if you guys want to have a taste, but it's really good. It makes you feel really, really good about yourself.
I'm really starting to not regret my decision to separate you from the campaign.
You did a very poor job of that because you said you're fired as a campaign manager. Here's all the money that we've ever made. Go do good things with it. And so, I still I've been paying myself under the table. I don't know if that's so bad.
Alex is very superstitious. He's a mattress guy when it comes to money. So
that is correct.
He obviously trusted you, and you betrayed that trust. And can I say your bandolier of elk meat that you've started wearing over your shirtless torso, it is starting to smell. I don't know if you checked the expiration on those,
that's man musk. That's how it's supposed to be. This is supposed to be. It works like cologne. It's supposed to smell bad. So that
you corrected yourself.
Yeah. You see, I got it straight from the Liver King. Like I bought $500 worth of supplements, and they sent this thing of elk meat with it, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. So yeah.
Well then,
and I will say the obvious of this whole like Rambo look that you've started adopting since you've been going through a lot of the testosterone. It's not surprising to me that Pastrami is making you buy your own instead of letting you skim off the deli supply, like with everybody else in the mentoring program that you joined a couple weeks ago. The whole like macho aggressive man thing is not really working because great pecs, great abs, but you famously have flat Stanley arms, which you've used to your advantage in the past.
Hold on,
they're
a second.
Little noodles.
That's very rude because I believe the last time that we talked about my upper body, which I'm a little uncomfortable with the amount of time that we've talked about that on this podcast, but I believe you described me as a Dorito because the legs were the thing that was the problem.
Well, yeah,
so I went hard on the legs, and now you're telling me
we have now turned the Dorito right side up.
Oh, so now I'm just a triangle.
Well, actually, it's on like it was X and Y plane, but now it's XYZ plane, and it's sort of flat like this. How do I describe that in words? It's like laying down on the table. You kind of look like an anthropomorphic birthday cake if it was like slice of birthday cake if it was completely flattened into a bubbly Dorito shape.
Ouch! First of all. I'm gonna need more Liver King supplements. Oh God, this sucks.
The supplements, the and the amount of space in the Winnebago that your weight bench is taking up is prohibitive to all of this vehicle's other functioning.
Well,
I'll put it that way.
You told me I couldn't do the plates, So I just brought in the bench, and now I just stacked the Funko
You
Pops.
lift the bench.
Yeah, no, I put the Funko Pops on top of the bench so I can get up to like the 225 range, and then that's what I use for my reps. I thought that was space efficient there, and I feel like I'm not getting a lot of credit for that.
I think you're getting exactly as much credit for that as you deserve.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, I was going to say, me and the entire other rest of Lynbrook have been consuming this testosterone, so maybe you guys are the weird ones. You ever think about that?
Nope.
Well, I mean, I've seen how the testosage gets made, so I personally am not comfortable eating it. I know I'm in the minority. I mean, it is taking off. Lynbrook is famously like 90% men. So the fact that like men like testosterone is big for business.
It's big for pastrami, yeah.
Big for pastrami.
Yeah, I mean, men don't really get buffed to impress women. We get buffed to impress other men.
You coming at me off of my failed Barenmo experience is kind of bringing me down a lot.
I know you're going through a hard time.
Yeah.
You are currently, how many times have you gone through the witness protection at this point? Mike D.
I'm not legally. I'm Mike F. First of all, I'm Mike F. I don't know who this Mike E motherfucker is.
No idea.
But yeah, I'm not legally at liberty to say for sure, but it's been a few times. We'll just leave it at that.
Are you have you heard anything from the people whom you're witnessing is being protected? Have you heard anything from the flat earthers, Macron, all your antagonists from earlier in the season?
The flat earthers are still very upset at me. I think I saw, or someone named Mike D. I don't know who that might be associated with, but I did see them with an effigy and it was burning. And equally as concerning as that is, the flat earthers are a good group of guys, but they're not super cultured. So when I heard some very angry French coming from their PA system, I started to get a little bit more. It seems that the flat earthers and the French have found some common ground. I don't know what to do with that information, but it seems to be the case.
You think maybe they hooked up with each other at some place, or maybe they were meeting in the same Starbucks. The flat earthers had a picture of you with your eyes X'd out, and the French also had one, and they're like, oh, you're looking for Mike D too? And they're like, who's Mike D? We're looking for Mike E. And it was like kismet.
Yeah, it sucks to be both of them. I will say that, because
that is a large bathroom too that they were both able to meet in there.
That Starbucks should just at this point be reserved for international relations at this point.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say a bathroom.
Mike, you live such an interesting life.
How's your campaign going for Mr. Dickey, or against Mr. Dickey?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I haven't checked my numbers in a while, actually.
Oh,
They
I saw
problematically low before.
The news.
Yeah, I know I was doing okay.
You are actually doing surprising. I mean, I think, what did we say? You were at 1% in the first poll, and now it looks like...
Did we break 100% yet?
Not
Did
quite.
we get the 101?
We're at about 26. So that's progress. You are becoming a force to be reckoned with. Lynbrook mostly being men getting buff on testosterone, a lot of these men being registered Tupperware party members. It's all sort of feeding in to
straight back to me. It's
back
fascinating.
to you.
Because I have to be honest with you, I've been honestly flabbergasted with how little I have actually been doing to try and secure this race, and it's really just fallen into my hands, Adam. And in all honesty, I'm satisfied, but I'm still hungry. we need. We
Mike,
need
give him some of your elk
75
meat.
more percent.
Here you go. Here, I've gotten so much here. I'll just rip it off of the forearm, the sleeve that I got going on. Here you go.
Take the one off your ankle that you keep in like the knife sheath. That's done.
That one gets dragged through the mud.
Yeah. You've been spending a lot of time in the mud, by the way. I wish you would use the doormat that we got for this thing.
I do. The bottom of my feet are pristine.
But your shoes are not.
Yeah.
Alex, so you've got some food there, but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were speaking about a hunger for a non-food sort of thing. Am I wrong, or am I absolutely right?
Adam, you are absolutely wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, God. Shut down, man.
No, I mean, like at this point, like it really is. I'm kind of getting into the race. I feel as if I'm starting to be taken a little more seriously as far as a potential victor of this race, and I think it's time I start debating with the big boys a little bit. You know, I think Mr. Dickolas, Tyrone.
I don't.
That is.
Is that his full legal name?
No, that is what I refer to him starting now.
Yeah, your new signs are Tyrone Dickey, more like Tyrone Ridiculous.
Yes. It's like
Nailed it.
The new signs say, "Don't go Dickolas, vote Saint Nicholas."
That's right, because Santa is your running.
You got fucking.
That
There's been
is what we call a connection.
there's been a lot of things happening in this world, but yeah, I keep forgetting that Santa Claus is your mayor pro tem.
We really don't mention it as much as we should, and we never mention it to guests on the show, which you would think we would bring up more often.
I mean, why would we mention it? It's like just the most obvious thing
Right.
that's already on everyone's minds. It's like, you know, like you don't start every conversation with like, "Hey, how you doing? The sky's blue." No, of course not.
All the billboards are you and Santa shaking hands, pointing and laughing at a picture of Tyrone Dickey.
Did you see the one where I'm jiggling his belly?
I'm impressed that you got it. I'm impressed that you got a GIF on the billboard.
Yeah, that was
honestly.
good.
That was pretty impressive.
It's like old school animation where it's actually like 5 pictures that
Right,
get
there's that
shuffled
guy.
really fast.
You've got that guy up there flip booking it
Yeah.
like around the clock.
That's my flip booker.
Mike, make sure that his check doesn't bounce, because if you don't see the jiggle, and this is the slogan that's on the billboard.
If you don't see it jiggle, it just looks like a pregnancy announcement.
That's the slogan that's on the billboard.
Well, I'll tell you what, that guy is going to get paid so long as he takes Barenmo.
We're going to make sure he does.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, I like the idea of a debate. I think you remind me, so your platforms, Tyrone Dickey obviously is running on, let's see if I remember, free dental care for seniors, getting rid of poverty 100%. I know he wants to, like, he's gunning for London's crown as the city with double-decker buses, and this one is a little less popular, the triple-decker bus proposal, mainly because of the number of low overpasses that are in Limbrook.
There are several.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea. My newest platform is actually now the quadruple stack bus with extra mayo. It comes with fries.
I love the awning that goes around it that looks like lettuce. That is such a classy touch.
Yeah, and we got like little just like, well, like we put like little seeds on top of it so that we get birds to land on it, and the birds look like sesame seeds.
Well done. Well done.
So yeah. So it is that obviously we want to revamp the town hall, really make it a place where I can just like hang out and be cool. We want to swole all of Limbrook.
That's also true.
That is actually already going off swimmingly. Thanks to the testosterone. You know, no issues with that. And you know, a bunch of other shit.
Yeah, as I recall,
there was a big one, yeah.
Yeah, tell him, Adam.
I was just gonna say, I recall there being a fairly large component of it that was about celebrating Everybody Loves Raymond. And in fact, I think you were going to build, and correct me if I'm wrong or tell me that I'm absolutely right, a structure or a sort of Meet Dave-esque office that was Ray Romano's head, where you're sitting inside in the control center as a sort of
as the Alpha Dave,
yes,
for lack of a better term. And yes, that is correct. Basically, the idea is to create, the mayoral office will be a replica of Ray Romano's head. And in times of crisis, I'm going to have a little button that I could press, and then it activates, and it basically becomes a giant mecha Raymond that we can use to defend the city.
Good idea.
I should have brought that up to the French.
I'm glad you didn't, Mike. I do, yeah. Of course, we want to make the whole town like a national landmark, enshrining, Everybody Loves Raymond, as like a place that is worthy of celebrating.
I think it's gaining traction. A lot of people are getting behind your proposal to remove or change the name of what's currently Women's Suffrage Park to Ray Romano Park.
It's what he would have wanted.
And again, Limbrook is about 90% men who are currently jacked up on a testosterone supplement.
I have no
that's a
problem.
very
Ray Romano-
popular proposal.
Ray Romano is peak masculinity. So,
Obviously,
of course,
he
it's
appeals
kind
to
of
that.
like, yeah. So there you go.
Well, I think it's great that you're climbing in the polls. Hopefully, if you do get elected, there will be, a sort of low effort, comfortably paid position waiting for some of the people in this vehicle, in exchange for supporting you. I can't remember what that's called, but
Nepotism?
no, because we are, as far as I know, you are not the father of me.
Well, you've never done the blood test, bro, so.
We
I'm
have been
trying.
asking you to do the blood test for a while.
I am asking, I will do it for you if Maury answers my letters. But he has so far not responded to me.
Yeah, good luck talking to him on any day other than Tuesday, man. So are we ready to talk about the episode?
Well, I was just going to say, I did want to say, it's a great idea to have a debate. And we did just replace the New York Times, this podcast, as the paper of record for Limbrook. We successfully ran the old gray lady out of town. So I say, we bring Tyrone in here and we do the debate here.
I mean, we're licensed to do that, maybe. Why not?
Yeah.
Tyrone, if you're not a little dicky, you can come on in and we can talk the talk right here.
Them some fighting words right there.
It's just how it is. You come on over, come to my home turf. You'll see that I'm just like any other man. I live in a van with two other men, except we all don't sleep here.
You work
Just
in a
like
van.
just like anyone else. For me.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. So the gauntlet is laid. I know you're listening, Tyrone, not just because we're parked outside of your house and we've got the old ice cream man speakers up top, but that's the challenge.
No, kids, we don't have ice cream. Go away. Sorry, the kids.
Mike, give him some of your elk meat.
I don't. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I gotta spread the word. Jimmy, come back.
Jimmy. He's also going to get the transcribed version of this podcast tomorrow morning on his front porch.
Right, of course, because we're the paper of record. People are saying they want more content in our paper, which is truly just a letter-sized sheet that we print out.
Yeah. Jimmy also wants more elk meat. He'll be coming back.
Are you out?
No, but this is mine.
We need more elk.
Well, that's the gauntlet. The gauntlet is laid. And that's, I think we'll wrap up the, let's turn the PA off and start recording the podcast.
Good idea.
I think. That was all
Sounds
for
good.
obviously Tyrone's benefit and the neighborhood to sort of
And the
embarrass
paper.
him. And for the paper, that's going to be good content. We've got that, we've got the podcast transcript, and we've got the crossword. How's that coming, Mike?
The crossword?
Yeah.
Great. I need, so it's going good. I need a 3-letter word for deer like animal.
Oh, man. I have no
If
idea.
all bear,
If
but
only.
don't use an A.
Yeah.
Burr.
Yeah, burr. There you go.
Yeah, burr.
There you go.
Burr.
People are going to get that. That's going to be
It's
so
a
easy.
burr. I got it.
All right, let me turn on the computer and turn the crank, and we are going. Okay. Welcome to Everybody Loves Raymond.
Hello.
I'm Adam. That's Alex.
Hello.
And that's Mike F.
Hey.
Bicycle France is here. And we are the premier Everybody Loves Raymond rewatch podcast, and we will be breaking down season 2, episode 16 today. It's called The Checkbook, and I say we tarry no further and we get right to it. What do you say, guys?
I think so. Let's do it.
Okay.
I can't wait. Guys, I cannot communicate to you how little I can wait. Let's start this thing.
Yes. So what we're going to do after the 30 seconds of the show that we've recorded so far is obviously take a break.
Yeah.
And then when we come back, we will be breaking down scene by scene season 2, episode 16 of Everybody Loves Raymond, The Checkbook. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to get a word for the scene. And stop. Tobacco.
Tobacco.
Smoking's awesome.
Dude, I love smoking so much.
I've been smoking since I came out of the womb. When did you start, Mike?
I started smoking. Well, actually, my dad is the one that was always smoking. So yeah, I've been smoking since before conception.
Since you were a swimmer.
Yeah.
Alex, when did you start sucking on the old cigarettes?
Oh, I never touched this stuff. When I referred to smoking, I was referring to a different kind of nicotine, and that is the addictive drug that is the Barenmo zone.
Wait, hold on. What is this Barenmo zone thing? I'm talking Camels here. I'm talking Marlboros. This is the stuff.
Newports.
Yeah, well, it's a relatively new brand of nicotine where it's all digital, not like vapes, not like e-ciggies. It's more like it's literally it's on your phone. You pay one-time payment. It's actually a lot cheaper than smoking.
Oh, whoa.
I don't
it's
know.
only-
Smoking's very affordable these days. In fact, I'm spending less than ever. I am reusing my cigarettes.
Let me ask you this, Adam: Are you paying more? Have you paid more than $1 for smoking?
Let me do a quick calculation. Yes, it looks like I've paid about $16 million to smoke over the 75 years of my life.
You're 75?
And I don't look a day over 72 thanks to smoking.
So there you go, Adam. With the Barenmo Zonus, you pay as much as you want, only one time, starting at $1, and then you get access to the most delectable,
Smooth.
smoothest, tastiest, tangiest treats that are to imagine ever, which is just us three talking about things that are tangential to Raymond, but don't make it into the regular episodes. We do about once a month. I mean, you don't really, I guess you don't remember because you're always high on nicotine, which is weird.
What can I say? It affects me in a little different than everybody else.
Yeah, it's really interesting, man. So interesting. But yeah, no, it's awesome. It's really enjoyable, and you know what? It's how we keep these lights on. So.
Well, why don't you let me try one? Give me that pack that you're holding there.
Sure. Oh, you mean my cell phone?
Yeah.
No, fuck you. Buy your own.
Well.
Yeah.
All right. Fine. If I want to if you're not gonna give it to me, then where do I go? Do I go to like the Sunoco station? Do I pick one up off the ground and smoke it to save a couple
Adam,
bucks?
All you gotta do is go to the URL on your cellular device. That is postfund.org/donate, and you're gonna be able to find your way into the Baroness Sonus, and from there you will have lifetime access to all that we post there.
Well, I just signed up. Hold on. Let me just suck on this USB-C port here and... Oh, I am flying high as a kite. Thanks, Baroness Zonus. Welcome back to Everybody Loves Raymond. Just a quick break before we get into our scene-by-scene breakdown of Season 2, Episode 16 of Everybody Loves Raymond. It's called The Checkbook. I'm Adam. I'm joined by Alex and Mike.
Hello.
Hey,
and
I'm feeling good.
Let's start as we always do with our overall impressions of The Checkbook. Let's start with Alex.
God. Raymond, what the hell happened? This, I loved this episode. I really did. It's really fun to watch someone just consistently lose control of a situation more and more over the course of 20 minutes. Bad day for the Barenmo. Great day for comedy. I had fun.
Thanks. I also will say that it's kind of a stressful watch. It's not like Uncut Gems, but it's not far off just watching this man destroy his family. Their finances, at least. But I thought there were a lot of really great moments in it, and very funny. It was great to see Nemo's again, which I feel like we haven't seen in a while.
That's true. We haven't.
Yeah, you're right.
So I enjoyed it, but this is our most. I feel like it's got to be, and we'll break it down, but it's got to be our most like dumb sitcom husband plot so far, right?
Yes.
It's up there.
Yes,
it really
You're
is.
right. However, this is my single favorite episode that we've seen so far. I was like, you're right. Raymond is fine. Yeah, I guess Limburg University did give us the money to talk about how Ray is as a father and a husband, and he does a very bad job of that. But oh my God, there were a lot of moments in this episode that had me cracking up, and more than ever before.
Yeah, it was very fun.
So I thought this was a great piece of comedy. But yeah, we'll break it down. But yeah, this was a really funny episode. I really enjoyed it.
I think we're all in agreement then. Yeah. Let's briefly touch on though this was 25 years ago. And I'm curious about your relationships with your checkbook. I think I write a check once every 2 years. I think the last time I wrote one was to renew my passport, or I had to get a new passport.
Wow.
So I had to write a check and put it in the mail and send it to the passport office. Otherwise, it's just gathering dust in my closet. Mike, what's your relationship with your checkbook?
More or less the same. I actually don't even have a checkbook. If I need a check, I literally will go to the bank and be like, "Hello, can you write me a bank check?" And that's how little I do it, that it's not even relevant for me to actually have one on my person. The Barenmo, as we mentioned earlier, as well as all of those other apps that we used to sell money, Cash App. Never mind. I was trying to think of a pun, but it didn't work. But yeah, that's really...
Give me a second. Actually, there was an actress on this show who guest starred once named Linda Cash, and there's the
Linda Cash app.
She played Celia in the parenting episode. So yeah, Linda Cash App, which you're trying to get off the ground.
Yeah, it's not really going very well, mostly because Linda Cash will not sign on to be a spokeswoman, but we'll see what happens.
I think that would change things if she signed on to be a spokesman.
Yeah, it would. But she hasn't responded to any of my emails, so we'll get her eventually. But regardless, the modern millennial relationship with the checkbook is non-existent. We use credit cards, debit cards, and other apps to deal with that jazz.
Yeah, Alex?
Wow, I'm the odd man out. So I write a check at least once a month because my credit card I pay physically.
Huh.
The reason I do that is to try and tame that little voice in the back of my head that kind of like makes a little happy noise whenever I buy something with a credit card. Like, hey, you're not actually spending money.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that constant monthly having to physically write the amount of money I've spent helps me restrict myself a little bit on the spending I do.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
So yes, I write a check every month. I feel like I've voided a couple checks here and there. I've been jumping around a lot financially with the mayoral campaign. So I've been having to move a lot of assets. So a lot of places need voided checks for reference. So yeah, I've been actually doing quite a lot with checks, and I have been for the past not 10 years, but close.
Wow. This is probably just speaks to the infrequency that I use checks. How do you put it in the mail to the credit card company when you pay your credit card by check? Wow.
No, I legitimately just right in the mailbox. They send me my statement. I just fill it out, throw it in the mail, and there we go.
Huh.
That's it.
Alexa and I talk about
Don't
it.
get mad at me.
Occasionally that because all of your banking is digital these days, for the most part, money that's on a debit card, in your checking account, that seems like real money. Vice versa, I took out cash, so that money's not real anymore, and I can spend it as freely as I want.
That's kind of my issue.
That's what I'm saying.
That's kind of my issue. Is when I have a certain amount of money in my hand, it's I can spend this $20 and it doesn't actually count because the money next to the number next to how much money I have does not change when I spend this 20.
Right.
So that's interesting, Alex. I think that's a good system for keeping yourself mentally engaged. I also just like clicking the button that says pay now, and then I don't need to think about anything.
That is fair. I do it now more than anything. I do it out of habit.
So yeah, but generally, we are not writing checks at the grocery store. No. We're not. Or Alex, you don't pay your rent by check, do you?
No. I do that digitally.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to think of other
electric bills don't get paid by
electric
check.
Bills, yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot less frequent than it was at the time that this episode aired, certainly. And I feel like, I don't have a source on this, but I feel like check usage has dropped precipitously since digital banking became the predominant way.
Almost certainly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it took me a second to wrap my head around the way that they have to balance the checkbook, the way that they have to keep track of money in a much more manual and analog way, obviously, than we do, where it's all connected and it keeps track of it for you and it says you spent this much here on this. It's just an interesting historical change.
It is. You're right.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's get into the episode, and we'll start, of course, with our cold open. It's the Barone house in the snow. And when I say the Barone house, sorry, I mean Ray and Deborah's house. It's in the snow, and appropriate, of course, because we are actually, this is kind of interesting, lining up pretty well with the air dates of these episodes.
Oh, this is coming
and check
out
exactly the Christmas episode, which was 13, something like that.
Something like that.
13,
It sounds about right.
214 was a couple weeks ago, either early February or late January. So we are a couple of weeks off from the actual schedule. So it makes sense that it would be snowing, is all I wanted to say through that long-winded explanation.
Glad we got there.
Yeah.
It's winter.
Makes sense.
It's winter.
It's cold outside.
We and the Barones will see the seasons change at roughly the same time. Of course, if you're listening to this in the future, who gives a fuck? Regardless.
Just same as watching the
shot
sitcom.
established it is winter time. That's all that we really need.
Okay, so Ray walks into the kitchen. Deborah is doing the checkbook. She's balancing the checkbook. And he asks Deborah, while she's doing that, to write him a check for Sports Illustrated. His subscription ran out. Deborah says he doesn't need a Sports Illustrated subscription because he gets it for free at work. He says he wants one at home. And Deborah obviously finds that to be a waste of money.
Because it is.
And I wrote down Ray's retort to that, which was like, you don't go out and spend hundreds of dollars on food. Like, obviously realizing that, you know, she's being budget-minded for a reason. And I thought that was a fine rejoinder until Deborah points out that, you know, I'm being budget-minded, but you're really not. You know, you also bought a new golf bag. So spending their money kind of freely. So she sits him down and she explains their budget to him.
Ray drifts off immediately.
Yeah. This is what she says. Once every 2 weeks, she digs Ray's paycheck out of his pants, pays their bills, services their debt, and puts as much away for the kids' college as possible. And the leftover is their discretionary funds. Ray finds it way too complicated, you know, doesn't see the need for tracking all this for the like close management that she does here. And he says, why don't you just pay the bills, which he immediately backpedals from.
Yeah, very, very not cool sounding.
And just, well, he also just immediately realizes, like, I just made more trouble for myself than this is worth. You can see that, like, kind of come across his face as he's like, shit.
Deborah, I like Deborah's move here to just hand him the checkbook. You know, you pay the bills if it's so simple. Unfortunately for Deborah, that was the wrong move at this point.
Yes.
As she's about to find out. So we cut to short cold open there.
I want to say, this isn't the point, but it bugs me. Because, yeah, he's a sports writer. He should have access to the publications of the newspapers and the articles that are all sports related. But number one, he has them at work. Number two, we see later on he has Golf Digest, presumably several other things at home. Mm-hmm. And also, like, not for nothing, but the library also carries these things. Like when I was a kid, I would go to the Limerick Library and get like all of these different magazines
before it burned down.
Before it burned down, yeah, exactly. Rest in peace.
Oh, exactly.
But yeah, like I only had like one, maybe two subscriptions for magazines that my parents got me growing up. Like I think Boys Life was one. But like there.
What is Boys Life? Is that erotic?
yeah. You know me. 8-year-old Mike F was getting erotic stuff in the mail. No, it was the Boy Scout publication. It's
stupid. Why do they call it that?
I don't know. Take it up with.
I will. That's one on a long list of things that I'd like to take up with.
Problem with the Boy Scouts. Problem number one. You gotta change the name of the magazine, guys. This is not...
Rebrand.
This is not what it's supposed to be about.
What's the other one? You got Boys Life and what?
I'm trying to remember if I got Nat Geographic Kids or not. There was a period of time in which I didn't. And I would literally go to the library like once every other week and like take out both like the issues and read them cover to cover. And I did that for for Sports Illustrated Kids, and there were a couple of other ones. And then I grew up and magazines became, published on the internet, and I didn't need to do that anymore. But back then, all I'm saying is that was an option, Ray. You could stop by the library on your way home, pick up the thing, read it at night, and then, just return it. Wasn't a big deal. That's all that is.
It does seem like part of Ray's impulse is that he doesn't want to leave the house or have accountability. Like, I would imagine if he gets it at work, he would have to return it to work.
True.
At a certain point.
And same for the library.
I think the final destination for the Sports Illustrated in his mind will be the bathroom.
True. Or his bedside, because we see him reading.
Or his bedside. Yeah. So I think it's driven more by laziness than any. Like, first of all, I don't see Ray going to the library in general. But going to the library to pick up a magazine, I feel like is too far for Ray. It is a good. You always forget, at least I do, that the library exists, and obviously doesn't here because it burned down. But the library is a wonderful resource. I mean, free books. All you have to do is sign up for a card. Isn't that great?
Yeah, for no
Thanks,
price.
Ben Franklin.
That is awesome.
You gotta dox yourself, but that's about it.
Well, to the library people who are famously, they keep it close to the vest. Obviously, these ones didn't in Limbrook because, as the investigation bore out, it was the librarian. Everyone thought, no, it can't be the librarian. That's too obvious. They brought in that detective. I can't remember his name. Reba Barone.
They brought in Reba McEntire in her short stint as a detective.
Right, because she was doing that documentary I don't know if you would call it. It was on Discovery. That series, the Reba McEntire Mysteries. So she came in, she grilled everyone, and she was immediately like, well, it can't be the librarian, it's too obvious. But then when the forensic, like the arsonist, what do you call that? Like forensic fire inspector came in, and they discovered in the wreckage that in the librarian's office, there was a ton of books: how to start a fire, how to burn a building down, how to get away with arson.
The good stuff.
It's pretty incriminating. And you know what else they found in there? The librarian's own library card. Turns out she hated her job.
All this is to say, maybe Ray should.
Yeah, Ray should go to the library.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But he doesn't. And Ray is a selfish fool. We go to our anti-gravity opening, obviously, and then we're back at Nemo's. It's been a while. I don't remember when we were last at Nemo's. I could look it up.
Was this the waitress? Was this the same waitress as that was one episode?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, except now she's fed up with everybody there.
Yeah, she's done.
Good for her. Good for her.
Rightfully so.
I did love Ray's intro line of he comes in and is just like, hey, Nemo, it's a health inspector. And then he freaks out a little bit. I thought that was great.
It really sets the tone of the restaurant very well.
Yeah, and Nemo's just like, don't do that. I love that so much.
Yeah, Joseph V. Perry and Tina Arning are back as Nemo and Angelina, respectively. Angelina, who in season 1, episode 5, was being sexually harassed by all of our main characters and supporting characters. We feel for Angelina, obviously, but
I'm glad she's not taking anybody's shit anymore. That was kind of good to see.
Yes, that's good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Ray walks in, health department. Nemo almost has a heart attack. Andy is sitting there, and he goes and sits next to Andy. He's got his folder of bills, managing the finances. He says he's got a letter from the electric company telling them that they're turning off their service. And he says to Andy, Andy's like, why are you handling the bills, first of all? And he says he's trying to show Deborah that it can be less complicated. Andy has a good line in response. Yeah. No electricity is less complicated. But we find out that Ray has bounced 14 checks and has been charged $300 in penalties.
Much simpler.
And is $3,000 overdrawn.
It's just like he's also only had the checkbook for a month and a half, and he's like, that's over 2 checks bounced a week. I'm surprised it's not more than $300 of fines, to be honest with you.
It's really, it is impressive.
I feel like it is impressive how quickly and how egregiously he did it. I think I might, make a mistake or two with the checkbook.
That's one thing.
But
that's one thing.
Continuous and not learning from them also mistakes is pretty bad. He tells Andy
he doesn't see them as mistakes. His only line to Andy is, "Why are they sending me mean letters?"
He explains to Andy that he paid his visa in full, paid off all of the debt instead of making a partial payment. Andy tries to explain to him why that's not a good idea, tries to explain to him basic finance, and Ray kind of drifts off again. And Andy is like, "Were you even listening to me?" And he says, "I got accrued." And
my God.
Yeah, so he blew up their finances in 6 weeks, and Andy tells him, Andy gives him good advice and tells him to give it back to Deborah.
And put $3,000 in your account ASAP. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Ray, for whatever, this is the choice that Ray makes in this moment is the reason that he's such an idiot in this episode. He says, "I'll make a fake checkbook." And I thought at first that was a joke.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah. That was a solution. No, his plan was he was so embarrassed to tell Deborah that he fucked it up that he was willing to just accept the consequences of we don't need electricity or cable or anything like that. And I'm just gonna, I'm with you, Adam. It's one of those things where it's like, it solves the lowest priority aspect of the idiocy that has been created.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just pathetic. This is that one split-second decision that just kind of trained.
It wasn't split second.
Forward.
He had to think about it, go to the bank, get another checkbook, write fake ones, rip them out, tear them up. There's a lot of planning that went here. This wasn't a split second, I'll tell a quick lie. Yeah, no, this was a mastermind plan.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I'm surprised the bank gave him another checkbook given his recent behavior.
That's also true.
You're cut off. Please leave.
Is that something that the bank would do, or are they saying, "Hey, this guy owes us $3,000. Maybe we should just let him dig his grave even more"?
Deposits only. That's what they would probably lay down in such a case. It's just it solves absolutely nothing. It really is only motivated by his ego, which is terrible. And as we find out, he's willing to borrow money from Robert. He's willing to go through all these hoops instead of just telling Deborah, "I messed up. Please help me fix this." And, I will stop spending money so that we can make up the amount of money that I lost, which would be a better solution. But no. So we cut to Ray in bed reading Golf Digest, like you mentioned. Deborah went to the salon. And she got her nails done, and Ray asks how much that was, suddenly concerned about the finances. That's $1 a nail, he says, when she tells him it's $20.
I'm starting to think it's true. No, it's not.
You have
$1 a
20
nail.
nails.
No, I thought she only got her hand nails done. I didn't think that the pedicure was included there. I read it as a manicure, not a pedicure.
No, I think it was all nails.
I thought that was...
Because she does show him... Doesn't she show him both?
I believe so.
Okay. I thought that was the joke. I thought the joke was that he can't even do that basic arithmetic. That's what I thought Yeah, never mind. Okay.
I think the joke is his hypocrisy at interrogating her spending when he has blown up their finances.
That too. I thought it was a double layer kind of thing. But yeah, no. Okay. I stand corrected.
Let's go back. We'll do a cut where we dub over and we'll have him say that's $2 a nail.
Yeah.
And then that joke will work on levels.
I feel like that would be, I'm with you.
Deborah is surprised that he is on top of their money, their finances, and he taking the only 2 words that he remembers from Andy's lesson, he tells her, "I'm reconciled and accruing." He offers to show it to her, the checkbook, and this is when we find out that he really did make a fake one. I don't think he should have offered to show it to her.
No.
That was, I mean, he's sort of asking to get caught at that point, because she either believes it or don't. And if she believes it and then later finds out that he made another one, as she does, then she knows that he was being deceitful.
I mean, when you lie like that, you're honestly, like, you kind of, like, are immediately in the boat of, like, assuming they're already onto you, so you try to overcompensate. So, like, as for what a liar would do in that situation, it didn't seem out of place to me.
Alex would know.
It makes sense. It tracks. Yeah,
That's true.
You were speaking from a place of authority there.
Yeah, I'm a politician. I know.
Well said. Well said.
Hopefully. Yeah, he offers to show it to her, which, yes, tracks for his patterns and his behaviors as a liar, but is a mistake, I think, in the long run. So he takes out the fake one. He hands it to her. She looks at it. And he says, "Everything's balanced, paid in full, except the Visa. You don't pay that in full." What an asshole. Deborah is in disbelief.
Well put.
She's looking at. She says, "This is beautiful." She's so impressed by his organization. And
this is when she starts breaking down and crying. I'm just like, I've been under so much pressure, and he just doesn't even flinch at, like, well, some people just don't have the talent. I'm just like, fuck you, Raymond. Yeah.
What a dick. Yeah, and she's surprised. She says, "I'm surprised it wasn't a huge pressure for him." Sorry. And he says, "Well, there's some pressure for me." And I thought the button on this scene of him reaching to turn out the light just as their power gets cut off is like the best gag that we have seen.
It was very well done.
One of the funniest things. Like, it was so... I laughed out loud.
Very well timed.
It was so fucking funny.
That was great. He reaches for the light to turn it out just as their power gets shut off. And then we cut. Go.
You could see, like, the mental process on his face where it's like, that's a tomorrow problem.
We cut to Robert. So back at Nemo's, Robert is meeting Ray there. I think he also tries to talk to Angelina, and she ignores him. Good for her. Robert saw Ray sneaking out of the house at 5 a.m., to which Ray replies, "Stop watching my house."
Fair.
But Ray says he went over to the electric company to pay the power bill. And I love Robert putting together or assuming, "Oh, you're having trouble paying the bills. Did you get fired?" And like the smile that rolls across his face when
the little smile.
That wasn't even so little, honestly. He was just waiting for Raymond's downfall so gleefully.
Yeah. Ray sort of, no. He asks Robert how living with the parents has helped him put money away since the divorce. I like that Robert immediately shuts down any idea of Ray moving in. We have a very delicate ecosystem over there. Which, as I think we've seen that, honestly. Their dynamic is very fraught. But Ray is like, no, I can now see, I can see the upside of a man living with his parents. You don't have to pay rent, or you don't have to. I don't think Robert pays rent, as we learn.
No, because Frank's bitched.
Yeah.
Frank has, like, been upset about that in the past. And has, like, talked about how Robert should be paying rent.
Right. And definitely does in this episode. But, Robert says, "I've put a little money away." And this is when Ray asks him if he can borrow a little money. Robert just savoring the moment. This is him. He has shifted into the high status position, and Ray is in the low status position, which so rarely happens. "How much?" he says, very sort of generously. How much? Oh, come on, how much? Ray says $3,000, and Robert's two guesses are gambling or cocaine. I just wrote down cocaine motion. He sort of mimes, touching the side of his nose as if to snort cocaine.
Doesn't he also imply that Ray got someone else pregnant?
Yes, that's the next thing.
Oh, okay. I thought that came before the implication of drug use.
Ray says that he's having trouble paying the bills. Robert asks if Deborah knows, and he says, no, she doesn't know. And that's when Robert says, "You get a lady in trouble, Raymond." I love that these are his first guesses.
Well, he's also
not just sheer incompetence.
He's seen all of it because he sees that on the daily basis. He's the cop. He sees the everything falling apart. And he just wants so badly to see his brother on the other side of those bars. Not like, I don't think he'd take glee in it. I think that a little bit of Schadenfreude would go a long way for Robert right now.
He asks why Deborah can't find out, and answers his own question, guessing that she's the one with the problem, the spending problem. Ray takes the longest pause, and then I love that he snaps the breadstick, and that's when he lies and says yes. And Robert, fills in the rest of the details for him. He thinks that she's a compulsive shopper, running up the credit cards, and he's happy to come to the rescue. He really savors being the hero in this scene. So we cut from there. Ray is pacing.
Also, needless to say, Raymond sucks for doing this to Deborah. Like,
yeah.
we
oh my god.
Yeah, we don't need to say that. But
throwing her under the bus.
That ain't cool.
Big suckage.
My god.
Especially given his family, who he knows very well, and Deborah's relationship with his family. What a dick move.
Yeah.
Huge dick move.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't seen him throw her under the bus this badly since the pilot, when he blamed Deborah for disinviting the parents from her birthday. And then again in the letter, he tries to head off the conflict by telling them that she's an alcoholic. He doesn't throw her under the bus too often to be a persistent problem, but when he
does, it's bad.
Yeah, he does it in a big way.
It's really bad. It's really rough.
Okay, so Ray's pacing his kitchen. Marie and Frank come in. Robert had to leave to get to work. Marie has Robert's envelope full of money, and he told them about Deborah's problem.
Also, I mean, listen, Robert's a good guy in this episode. He's genuinely trying to help his brother and his family out. So on the same token, what the hell are you telling Marie for? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that is sneaky and underhanded.
Terrible
I think he's
move.
just so excited to gloat about Ray being in a.
I mean, it's not.
bind.
I could also see it. I could see the scene itself playing out where Robert comes home and then Marie's kind of instantly knows something's up, and she kind of gets it out of him. Mm-hmm. I can see that also having been the case.
Yeah, that does. I can picture that very easily as well. That's a good point. I'm sure that's what happened, actually, come to think of it. So, yeah, he told them about Deborah's problem. Frank actually looked inside the envelope, knows it's $3,000. He says he's surprised that Robert has that much to throw around. He should be paying rent and buying groceries.
There you go.
They sort of sidebar for a second, and Frank, he is cutting costs. He announces cost-cutting measures, and he and Marie argue over solid white tuna versus, what's the other kind? Chunky,
yeah.
Chunky tuna.
I don't buy tuna that often. And Marie is distraught about this. I love that her line, "It's my one luxury." The nicer kind of canned tuna. But getting back to the topic at hand, Marie tells Ray that she's always suspected Deborah's been out of control. And Ray, has an opportunity here to set the record straight, does not do that.
No, he does not in the least.
He's in too deep. He's not going to do it.
As Deborah comes downstairs with the kids, and she asks Ray to borrow some cash at like the worst possible moment for everyone involved. Ray says, "Oh, I don't have any cash." Dad, do you have any cash? Asking Frank. I love Frank's read of putting his foot down. Intervention. No. No. And then she's like, just give me a check then. And Ray gives her a blank check, and the look of shock and horror.
Marie's face.
So
It's
beautiful.
so funny. And then she leaves with the check.
Also the very unfortunate kind of just throwaway small talk line of just like, ooh, a blank check. Maybe I'll stop by Tiffany's on the way home. Just not really that funny, but just in the context, it's just like, Deborah, you're digging yourself too deep here. Oh my God.
You can imagine like Marie's perspective on that, just seeing her as like this she-devil. Incredibly bad timing. But of course, it is all still Ray's fault. Ray
Hugely.
races out because he needs to deposit Robert's check before Deborah can cash the check that he just gave her. And then we linger in the kitchen for a moment. Marie says, I told him she was too pretty for him. And Frank, never missing an opportunity to insult his wife. Thank God I didn't make that mistake. It's a funny joke. It's incredibly
bad,
cruel.
but it's funny.
But that's a great vaudeville line.
And then we proceed to cut to the bank, and in easily my single favorite montage scene my single favorite sequence that's happened on Everybody Loves Raymond to date, the silent scene of Ray
It's like a silent movie
trying to get to the front of the ATM line while he's looking in and seeing Deborah and the kids in line. Oh my God, how funny that was.
Yeah. This scene makes this episode great. All the other strengths of it aside, and it really overshadows any of the weak points that are here. It's like, this is such a creative, well-executed scene, bending the format a little, doing this silent scene. And it is really a, it's Chaplin-esque with getting the cops involved and some of the physical gags. It's like really, really great. Makes this an exceptional episode. We see, and this whole scene is sort of has a bed of elevator music underneath it. We see Deborah in line at the bank with the kids. Ray walks up, sees her from outside, and gets in line for the ATM. There's an old woman there using it. This is, by the way, Martha Faulkner, whose only other credit... Her only other credit is the Robin Williams movie Toys.
You know what?
Which is...
You know what?
Yeah.
That's a good career. If you get to work with Ray Romano and then later on Robin Williams, you call it there. I'm with you here. Good job. Oh, other way around?
Yeah. Flipped.
Okay.
So, a step down, but still, high on the staircase. Sure. So he's trying to cut Martha Faulkner as Deborah is getting closer and closer to the tallest teller I've ever seen in my life. This man, I don't...
It was pretty tall.
He's incredibly tall,
that didn't cross my mind.
Oh, no, he's statuesque. Hold on, I'm just going to check to see if he was credited.
And if so, if we can pull up a height.
Oh, yeah.
Tall banker.
No, he's not credited. I guess, he doesn't have any lines in this, but neither does Martha Faulkner. I guess he wasn't in Toys. So Ray is trying to cut this woman, get to the ATM as Deborah is getting closer and closer to the teller. The ATM, what happened? So he cuts her, and then the ATM, does he put his pin in wrong or something? I wasn't exactly sure what happened there.
I assume that that's what was going on, or otherwise they didn't take the check or something like that.
Right.
Because it just didn't work. Like he entered, there was something weird happening there. I didn't pick up on it.
He tries it a bunch of times, and And then the woman leaves and goes to get a cop, and this is where it becomes kind of Chaplin-y. And of course, the cop happens to be Robert to come and intervene.
Which doesn't make sense because it's been previously established that Robert works in Manhattan, but at the same time, whatever, you know?
Could have been on his way, stopping for a donut or something.
As
We don't
cops
know
do.
what else is in that strip
Yeah, you
mall.
don't know.
Yeah, that is odd. That's a good point.
Doesn't
Maybe
matter.
he
It was
was-
funny.
Maybe he was leaving early that morning because he had to cover a beat cop's shift at the ATM in Limbrook. But so she goes to get a cop. Cop happens to be Robert. And Robert, of course, is trying to help Ray out. They sort of, work on the ATM a little bit. But then a metal gate starts to close on it. And it shuts on them, and they start, hammering on this thing, kicking the wall. The set design, I don't think, was ready for that because you can see the wall shaking,
Yeah, a little
this
bit.
brick wall, as they kick it. And then another cop shows up, and he and Robert sort of chat for a second, and then they both take Raymond away.
And as they do.
And then we see Deborah noticing that Ray is getting arrested from inside the bank.
There was a great moment in which Ray is being carried by Robert and the second cop that Adam is about to credit. And then he just makes eye contact with, I think it's Michael. And just that moment of him just looking up and seeing Deborah and everybody in the bank staring at him was really, really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So good.
Just a great little sequence of physical comedy. The other cop is actually a cameo by Ray's brother, Richard
No
Romano.
kidding!
No way.
That's right, his real life brother. Who, hold on, make sure I get this right. Richard A. Romano was a real NYPD cop, obviously, but he's also been a screenwriter. He wrote a movie called The Investigator, and he's actually been in just about every one of Ray's projects, it looks like, including Men of a Certain
that's
Age.
great.
Welcome to Mooseport, which we should watch at some point.
Baroness. I don't know anything about
yes.
it, but Baroness.
But Baroness, all of everything Ray's appeared in. We'll do one for Ice Age too.
Every
That
Ice
could be
Age
like
movie.
a mini series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Richard Romano makes a cameo as the second cop, and they carry Ray away. Deborah sees it. We cut to the kitchen, and Deborah is fixing the disaster. This is later that night. Deborah's at the kitchen table. Ray comes downstairs. He asks her if she's ready to go to bed, but she's fixing his disaster. Ray apologizes. He asks if he can do anything. Deborah says, Ray, when you're on the Titanic, you load the lifeboats. You don't stop to yell at the iceberg, which is a great metaphor for life with Raymond. Deborah doesn't understand, as we didn't, why he put so much effort into a fake checkbook rather than doing the real one. His excuse is he stinks at numbers, but Deborah points out not when they're golf scores, which is true. And Ray comes around to understanding why the checkbook is important, and he says he appreciates what she does here. She says, you've never said that before, that he appreciates her. And he says, remember our wedding night? So I guess that's the last time he appreciated none of the other good old sex, but
Only the wedding night.
that
yeah.
night. Yeah. She tells him that he could say he appreciates her more, which is kind of the fundamental issue.
I feel like that's what they want us to take away from it. But I'm going to be real with you. There's so many other issues happening here.
That's true.
Right. But, it's good to start with stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. But also,
Yeah.
fraud,
Gross mismanagement of funds. And Deborah says, there's just one thing. The real and fake checkbook aren't adding up. And Ray says, it might be, and he pulls out a third checkbook.
Which
lot of good
again is
physical
another one of my
comedy.
Yeah.
favorite moments of this episode. Just the reveal of checkbook number 3s.
And also that he didn't even tell her about the third one when he got caught about the second one.
He didn't even tell the audience about it.
That's true. We didn't even see that. But he says he bounced a check in the fake one. And Deborah says, which one? Just as the lights shut off. And Ray says, that one. I loved that button.
Me too. That was a good bit. That was a good one.
That was the end, right?
No, there was the hot close.
Well, what was the hot close? Tell me about it.
The hot close was Deborah is folding laundry, and then Marie knocks on the door. She opens it, and Marie says,
"That's
Marie
right."
goes, "Oh, Deborah, I'm sorry. It's when I got this other credit card in the mail. I'm not 100% sure if it's real or a scam. Could you hand me your credit card so I can compare?" And Deborah's like, "Oh yeah, sure," and hands it over. And Marie takes it, looks at it, turns around and yells, "Frank, now!" Frank comes out with scissors, cuts it in half, cuts the credit card in half, says, "This is for your own good," and they both book it. Right as Ray enters the room. And Deborah gives him the death eyes, and I believe his line is, "Oh yeah, one more thing," or something to that effect.
Wow. I love that pays off. That's so great.
Yeah, me too.
So that's the episode then. That is season 2, episode 16. It was
Great episode.
a great episode to us and a terrible chapter in Raymond's life. Just how terrible, we'll have to turn to our patented barometer to find out. It's the scale from 1 to 10 on which we rate Ray's performance as a husband, brother, son, father, I can't think of any accountant. Basic person living in the world and managing their finances. So Mike, did I say the one being the bad man?
One bad, two good.
One bad, two good. Nope. One bad, 10
no, one
good.
bad, 10 good.
One bad, 10 good. Mike, where is Ray coming in for you on this episode?
Oh my god, so bad. This is one of the few times that he actively does real, tangible harm to his family with his antics. I'm going to be incredibly generous here and give him a 2.5.
Wow.
I can't justify giving him any higher than that. They didn't have power a few times. I'm presuming the water bill had the same issue. Lying to the wife, like we said, fraud, gross mismanagement of funds, etc. It's bad. So, like I said, 2.5, locking it in.
Right. Alex.
It is cartoonish how awful he is here. It is to a point, like Mike said, absolutely. Like this is worse than what he did at the funeral because this hurt his family in more than just embarrassment. Mm-hmm. He lost a lot of money out of his own arrogance and tried to cover it up just to kind of support his own ego. 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It is perhaps his worst performance to date. I mean, and if you break it down by his different roles in the family dynamic, he is horrible to his wife because he lies to her and ruins their finances. He lies to Robert, lies to Marie and Frank, and in doing so is even more horrible to his wife by throwing her under the bus. I honestly, there's really no redeeming quality to Ray in this episode. I mean, what does he do right?
Apologizes, that's about it.
He apologizes and says he appreciates his wife.
Yeah, that's about it.
He
doesn't even try to bone. So it's not even.
That's true.
You can't even say it's good to swap.
He doesn't even get
wife.
the bonus. It is a pun. The bonus.
We did it. We got it. We got it. Call the episode off. This is the last episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. We're not topping that. We're done.
There must be a worse episode, but for now, I gotta give him a 1.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay.
ELR history.
I don't think that there's any redeeming quality to him here.
Yeah, no, I mean,
That is the first one.
That's true.
He's not actively violent. That's the one thing that I was like, I can't give him a one for that.
That's true. I don't know if we will see him be violent.
He's not a violent guy, but I just wanted to explain my logic of why I had to give him something, you know?
Right. What's the average then?
The average comes out to a 1.8 for this episode.
Wow.
That's a record.
That is a record. That's an all-time
Yay.
low. I think that's more than a point below his previous all-time low, which I think was in the 3s.
There's no way that he ever dipped into the 2s before. So, yeah.
So what is the lesson then? Do not
Lie.
lie. Do not
pay the visa in full.
That's true.
It's just communication.
Communication.
Fucking communication.
Recognizing that you don't know how to do something and, not being prideful. Just let Deborah handle it or make a serious attempt to learn how to handle it so that she doesn't have to work so hard on it. But, I mean, do not defraud your wife, destroy your family's finances for who knows how long the ramifications of that were felt. I mean, from Deborah's description of their finances, they have pretty set, pretty much they're dividing Ray's income in a set way each month. It's very highly managed. If you take $3,300 out of that equation, I got to imagine that throws everything, haywire.
Sure.
It's going to throw a big old frowny face into that.
Right.
For sure.
So, do not be like Ray in this episode. Sometimes, be like Ray when he's The Gift, the Frank the Writer, other good ones. Be like Ray in those. This, if you take anything else from this podcast, do not be like Ray in this episode. And that's, I guess, the lesson that we want to leave you with, right?
Or if you are going to, make sure you record it because it is objectively hilarious.
That's
but morally not so good, but it is quite funny.
If you're gonna destroy your family's finances, do it in front of a live studio audience, please.
If you're going to wreck your family and your children's opportunity at college, do it for the Vine.
Mike, I have terrible news for you.
Oh yeah, what's that?
I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but for us, look, we're going to be back with Season 2, Episode 17 next week, we promise. You can, in the meantime, check out the Baroness Zonus, postfund.org/donate. That's an extra episode every month. Fun, games, different media that Ray's appeared in. We cover it all. Barone Zone on Facebook, Instagram. More Instagram than Facebook, to be honest, but you can schedule them at the same time, so that's why we have a Facebook presence. Raymond at postfund.org if you want to email us anything. Other than that, Mike, anything to plug?
Guys, thank you so much for listening. Please make sure you subscribe and tune in next week. Until then, there's only one last thing to say, our classic sign-off. Everybody
Loves
Raymond, and we love you.